In baseband transmission, the type of signaling used is digital. In guided media, the signal energies propagated through wires. Signals are transmitted in the form of electrical over the magnetic conducting wire. The frequency range supported by radio wave is 3 kHz to 1 GHz. Hello everybody, welcome to my new session. I am Revati, Faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidyashram, First Grade College, Mysore. Today we are on the 8th session of overview of data and signal bits. Moving to today's agenda, here we are going to discuss overview of data and signal bits. So this is the warm-up session. I discussed these topics already in my 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th session. I repeat, it is just a warm-up session because I already discussed these topics in my 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th session. In the last session, I already discussed what is data communication, what is computer network, what are the types of computer network, characteristics of computer network, different types of data communication modes, etc. Please students, just remember that this is the warm-up session. So I'll be discussing only the difference. I won't go in depth because I already explained these topics in my 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th session. From the examination point of view, I'm going to discuss these topics once again. I'll be discussing only the difference. I won't go in depth. Moving on to the today's topic, that is difference between baseband and broadband. Anyway, I already explained these things in depth in my 3rd session. So today's session I'll be discussing the difference. Consider the difference with respect to type of signaling used. In baseband transmission, the type of signaling used is digital. In broadband transmission, the type of signaling used is analog. The second difference with respect to application, the basebands are mainly used in bus topology, whereas broadbands are mainly used in bus topology as well as tree topology. Moving on to the third difference, with respect to encoding. The baseband uses Manchester encoding, whereas broadband uses PSK encoding technique. Next, moving on to the fourth difference with respect to transmission, where baseband supports bidirectional transmission, where broadband supports unidirectional transmission. The fifth difference with respect to signal range. Here, baseband can able to travel or cover shorter distance, whereas broadband is capable to cover longer distance. These are the 5 difference comes under baseband and broadband. Moving on to the next topic, that is the difference between guided and unguided media. I discussed these guided media and unguided media in my session 3. Dear students, let's see the difference one by one. First, I'll be considering guided media. In guided media, the signal energies propagated through wires. So, in guided media, just think that it is a wired communication channel. Whereas, in unguided media, the energy is propagated through air. I repeat, in unguided media, the energy is propagated through air. So, it is wireless communication media. So the second difference with respect to guided media. So here guided media uses point-to-point communication. I repeat, guided media uses point-to-point communication. Whereas in the unguided media uses radio broadcasting all the direction. So I repeat, in unguided media is generally suited for radio broadcasting in all the direction. Moving on to the next difference under guided media, here signals are in the form of voltage, current. I repeat, in guided media, the signals are in the form of voltage or current. Whereas in unguided media, the signals are in the form of electromagnetic waves. I repeat, in unguided media, the signals are in the form of electromagnetic waves. Moving on to the next difference with respect to guided media, here it is example. The sum of the examples for guided media, here it is coaxial cable, twisted pair cable and fiber optics. Whereas moving to unguided media, the example for unguided media is radio wave, microwave and infrared lights. I repeat, the example for unguided media, here it is microwaves, radio waves and infrared lights. The next difference with respect to guided media. In guided media, it is possible to add extra or more cable in order to increase the transition capacity. I repeat, in guided media, it is possible to add extra wires or cables in order to increase the capacity. Whereas in unguided media, it is not possible to add extra capacity. I repeat, in unguided media, it is not possible to add additional capacity. These are the few difference between guided media and unguided media. Moving on to the type of guided media, there we studied twisted pair cable, coaxial cable and optical fiber cable. But today's session we are going to see the difference between these three cables. Dear students, let's see the difference one by one. So the first difference with respect to signal transmission. In twisted pair cable, it take place in the form of electrical. That means the signals are transmitted in the form of electrical over the magnetic conducting wire. Whereas in coaxial cable, the signals are transmitted in the form of electrical over inner conductor of cable. Whereas in optical fiber, the transmission is take place in the form of opticals over glass fiber. The next difference with respect to external magnetic field. In twisted pair cable, it is affected due to external magnetic field. In coaxial cable, the signals are affected due to external magnetic field. Dear students, the second difference with respect to external magnetic field. In twisted pair cable, the signals are affected due to external magnetic field is high. Whereas in your coaxial cable, the signals are affected by external magnetic field is very low. But in your fiber optical cable, the external magnetic fields are not affected. Here we are going to use glass and whatever the signal is transmitted, that is in the form of lights, so there is no electromagnetic field in fiber optical cable. Next, moving on to the third difference, students, here with respect to bandwidth. In twisted pair cable, it is going to have low bandwidth capacity. It is going to have very low bandwidth capacity. Whereas coaxial cable is going to have moderately high bandwidth capacity. But in the fiber optical cable, the bandwidth capacity is very high. Moving on to the next difference, electromagnetic interference. In twisted pair, you can able to get electromagnetic interference. Whereas in the coaxial cable, the EMI is reduced due to metallic shielding. Whereas in your fiber optical cable, you won't get any electromagnetic interference. Moving on to the installation, moving on to the connection. So in twisted pair cable, it is very easy to establish the connection. Whereas in coaxial cable, it is fairly easy. But whereas optical fiber cable, it is very difficult to install. The next difference with respect to attenuation. So in twisted pair cable, we are going to get very high attenuation. In coaxial cable, we are going to get low attenuation. Whereas in fiber optics, we are going to get very low attenuation. Moving on to data rate, in coaxial cable, we are going to get moderately high data rate, where in twisted pair, it is very low data rate, and whereas in fiber optics, the data rate is very high. The last difference with respect to noise immunity. In twisted pair cable, the noise immunity is very less or low. But whereas in coaxial cable, the noise immunity is higher. Whereas in fiber optical cable, the noise immunity is highest. These are the certain difference between twisted pair cable, coaxial cable and fiber optics cable. Moving on to the unguided media, that means wireless communication media. There we are going to get three types. In that first one, radio waves, microwaves and infrared. Dear students, let's discuss the difference with respect to direction. So here radio wave is omnidirection in nature. That means it is going to broadcast the signal. So it covers all the direction. Whereas microwave, it is unidirection, and infrared, it is also unidirectional. Moving to second difference, that is frequency range. The frequency range supported by radio wave is 3 kilohertz to 1 gigahertz, whereas the frequency range supported by microwave is 1 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz, whereas infrared waves, the frequency range is between 300 gigahertz to 400 gigahertz. Dear students, another difference with respect to security. So this radio wave offers poor security, whereas microwave offers medium security and infrared provides high security. The another difference with respect to government license. In radio wave, we require government license. Suppose if you want to use radio waves, then we want to take the government license. That means we want to take the license from the government. At the same time, in microwave, suppose if we want to use microwave, then we want to take the license. At the same time, for infrared, there is no requirement of government license. The another difference with respect to usage cost. So, for radio wave transmission, setup and usage cost is moderate. That means to establish radio wave communication, then setup charge and usage cost is moderate. Whereas for microwave setup and usage, it requires high cost. And whereas infrared waves, the usage cost is very less. Then the last difference with respect to communication. So here microwave capable to cover longer distance. At the same time, this radio wave is also capable to cover longer distance, whereas infrared waves are also capable to cover longer distance. Let's discuss the different types of modulation technique. What is modulation? We studied what is modulation. There is a change in the characteristics of carrier frequency or carrier signal is called modulation. What are the changes? There it is amplitude or phase or frequency. So these are the three characteristics of all the carrier frequency or carrier signal. So there is a variation in the amplitude or phase or frequency is called modulation. There we studied three different types of modulation, in that amplitude modulation, phase modulation and frequency modulation. Dear students, I won't explain in depth here because I already explained these things in my last sessions. So here I am going to discuss the difference. So what is the first difference with respect to amplitude modulation? In the amplitude modulation, the frequency remains same. Dear student, please remember that in amplitude modulation, only the amplitude is going to vary. The remaining other two characteristics like phase and frequency remains change. Dear students, please remember that in amplitude modulation, the amplitude is going to vary and the other two characteristics of carrier frequency, that is frequency and phase, remains same. In phase modulation, the amplitude remains same. So that means amplitude remains constant. What is the second difference? It is a very simple circuit, whereas it is a complex circuit. In amplitude modulation, the modulation index may be 0 to 1. That means the modulation index ranges from 0 to 1. Whereas in phase modulation, the modulation index is always greater than 1. The next difference, that is amplitude modulation. Here noise immunity is poor than phase modulation, whereas the noise immunity is better than amplitude modulation. As I explained, in amplitude modulation, amplitude is going to vary and other two properties like frequency and phase remains same. Whereas in the phase modulation, I told you that phase is going to vary and other two characteristics like amplitude and frequency remains same. Dear students, the another difference here is amplitude modulation is widely used, whereas this phase modulation is used in mobile system. Phase modulation is used in mobile system. The another difference with respect to amplitude modulation here is signal to noise ratio is better than phase modulation. I repeat, signal to noise ratio is better than phase modulation. Whereas in phase modulation, signal to noise ratio is poor than amplitude modulation. Here, signal to noise ratio is poor than amplitude modulation. In the amplitude modulation, amplitude of the carrier wave or carrier signal is modified in order to send the data or information. Whereas in phase modulation, the phase of the carrier waves are modified in order to send the data and information. In amplitude modulation, the received signals are low quality. Whereas in the phase modulation, the received signal quality is high. The last difference is in amplitude modulation, it is going to have better sound quality, whereas phase modulation having very poor sound quality. These are the certain difference between amplitude modulation and phase modulation. Moving on to the multiplexing. We studied multiplexing. Under multiplexing, we studied time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing. Dear students, I explained this concept in my session 6. So today's class, I am going to give the comparison, or today's class I am going to explain the difference. Dear students, here TDM means time division multiplexing, where FDM means it is a frequency division multiplexing. In time division multiplexing, it works with digital signal as well as analog signal. I repeat, the TDM technique is capable to work on both analog signal as well as digital signal, whereas this frequency division multiplexing is capable to work on only analog signal. The next difference, the TDM has low conflict, whereas this frequency division multiplex has high conflict. The next difference, that is wiring or chip of TDM is simple, whereas wiring and chip of frequency division multiplexing is complex. So TDM is efficient where frequency division multiplex is inefficient. In TDM technology, the time sharing is take place, whereas in frequency division multiplexing, the frequency sharing is take place. The last difference, that is in TDM, synchronized pulse is necessary, where in frequency division multiplexing, the guard band is necessary. Dear students, moving on to the next topic, it is synchronous time division multiplexing and asynchronous time division multiplexing. These are the two types of TDM, that is time division multiplexing. So this asynchronous time division multiplexing is also called statistical time division multiplexing. So moving on to the first difference with respect to synchronous TDM. In synchronous time division multiplexing, allocates same time slot to each device without considering fact that device contains data or not. That means in synchronous time division multiplexing, it is not going to bother if the device contains data or not, but all the time slots are divided. That means the time slots are divided between all the devices. That means same time slot is used here. Let's discuss the first difference with respect to synchronous TDM. In synchronous TDM, it is responsible for allocating same time slot to each device without considering the fact that the device contains data or not. So here it is not going to bother if the device contains data or not. But what is the responsibility here? It is going to allocate same time slots for each and every device. In asynchronous time division multiplexing, the multiplexer does not allocate same time slots for each and every device without considering fact that device contains data or not. In asynchronous multiplexing, that means in asynchronous time division multiplexing, multiplexer is responsible for allocating the time slot only the device contains data. I repeat, only the device which contains data, for that device only this asynchronous time division multiplexer allocates time. The another difference, in the synchronous time division multiplexing, the number of slots per frames are equal to number of input lines. If there are 5 input lines, then there are 5 frames. Whereas in asynchronous time division multiplexing, the number of time slots per frame are less than the input line. So it is m less than n. That is, if there are n input lines, then there are m slots. That is m less than n. The next difference with respect to synchronous time division multiplexing, here there is no guarantee of full capacity of link used. Whereas in synchronous time division multiplexing, it guarantees that all the capacities are used effectively. I repeat, this synchronous time division multiplexer guarantees that full capacity link is used effectively. So the another difference with respect to synchronous TDM here is the total speed of input line cannot be greater than capacity of the path. I repeat, the total number of input line cannot be greater than the capacity of path. In synchronous time division multiplexing, the total speed of the input line can be greater than the capacity of the path. So the next difference with respect to synchronous TDM, the usage of device is less, whereas in synchronous time division multiplexing, the usage of device is more. The next difference with respect to synchronous time division multiplexing, here the number of time slots in the frame is always based on the number of input line. So number of frames is fully depend on number of input line. Whereas in the asynchronous time division multiplexing, number of time slot in the frame is always based on the statistical analysis of number of input line. I repeat, in the asynchronous time division multiplexing, the number of time slots in the frame is always based on the statistical analysis of number of input. And the last difference with respect to synchronous time division multiplexing, here time slots are fixed and predefined. Whereas in the asynchronous time division multiplexing, the time slots are not predefined. These are the some of the difference between synchronous and asynchronous time division multiplexing. Dear students, today's session we discussed the difference between baseband and broadband. Then we discussed the difference between guided media and unguided media. Then we discussed the difference between twisted pair cable, coaxial cable and optical cable. Then we discussed the difference between radio waves, microwaves and infrared waves. Then we discussed the difference between time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing. And at the end, we discussed what is asynchronous time division multiplexing and what is synchronous time division multiplexing. Dear students, in the next session, I'll be discussing digital to analog. In that, I'm going to discuss what is analog data. Then I'm going to discuss what is digital data. At the same time, I'm going to discuss digital to analog conversion. In that, I'm going to discuss amplitude shift keying. Then I'm going to discuss phase shift keying. Then I'm going to discuss frequency shift keying. And dear students, let's meet in the next session. Until then, take care. Thank you.